When Judge Harold West stepped into courtroom 12B on a rainy Thursday morning, he had no idea the case that had haunted him for months was about to take an unexpected and irreversible turn. The courtroom was packed, unusually so for a plea deal hearing. Reporters whispered among themselves, and the hum of tension filled the air like static. On trial was 26-year-old Eric Dalton, accused of orchestrating a series of break-ins that culminated in a violent home invasion, leaving a retired couple injured and their lives shattered. Eric had maintained his innocence at first, but eventually agreed to a plea deal negotiated between his high-profile attorney and the district attorney's office. It would have given him a reduced sentence, 8 years, with the possibility of parole in 4. But what Judge West was about to reveal would send shockwaves through the courtroom and, later, across the nation. Eric entered the courtroom in chains, flanked by 2 officers. He smirked at the cameras. His mother sat in the front row, wringing her hands, while his sister stared blankly at the floor. The plea deal was ready to be formalized, but Judge West wasn't ready to sign anything just yet. He had received a confidential folder late the night before, one that included surveillance footage, incident reports, and psychiatric evaluations from the county jail. What he saw made his blood run cold. The footage was grainy but clear enough. It showed Eric, over the span of several weeks, engaging in repeated acts of violence toward other inmates, assaulting a mentally ill cellmate, extorting new arrivals, and even goading corrections officers. He laughed as he made others cry. He left bruises on people's faces and memories in their minds that would never heal. This wasn't a man seeking redemption. This was a man perfecting the art of domination. As the proceedings began, Judge West's voice cut through the room like a scalpel. "Mr. Dalton," he said, eyes narrowed, "before I rule on this plea agreement, I have some matters to address. Matters pertaining to your conduct while in custody." Eric blinked, his smirk fading slightly. His lawyer shifted uncomfortably, whispering urgently to him. The room held its breath. "I received video evidence from county jail staff. I saw how you treated fellow inmates, how you orchestrated attacks, how you bragged about manipulating the system. Tell me, Mr. Dalton, do you think this courtroom is a playground? Do you think remorse is a performance?" Eric tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. His attorney rose. "Your Honor, with all due respect, my client's behavior while in jail, however regrettable, does not negate his right to a fair plea." But Judge West was unmoved. This court has no obligation to honor a plea bargain if the defendant demonstrates contempt for the law and endangers others while in custody. This isn't about regret. This is about the absence of humanity. The judge slammed the file shut and stared at Eric. "Plea deal rejected." The room exploded into chaos. Eric's mother sobbed loudly, collapsing into the arms of her daughter. The reporters raced to type their updates. Eric himself stood frozen, unable to process the gravity of what just happened. His grin was gone. The bravado was stripped away. Outside the courthouse, the public had mixed reactions. Some called it justice finally served. Others questioned whether rejecting the plea deal was too harsh, an overreach. But few knew the depths of what Judge West had uncovered. Behind the scenes, he had consulted with former correctional officers who described Eric's jail behavior as predatory. One guard, under condition of anonymity, recalled, "It was like watching a wolf among sheep." He didn't just survive jail, he ruled it. The judge also read letters from victims, some written from wheelchairs, others from rehab centers, detailing the trauma Eric had inflicted. One woman wrote, "I wake up every night thinking he'll come back. Knowing he hurt others while behind bars confirms what I always feared. He has no soul." With the plea deal gone, the case moved toward a full trial. And that's when things got even darker. During pre-trial hearings, investigators unearthed more evidence, voice recordings from jail phone calls in which Eric laughed about the plea. 8 years? I'll be out in 4, back in time for my 30th birthday. All I had to do was pretend I cared. Suckers. These recordings became pivotal in convincing the jury of Eric's manipulative nature. In court, prosecutors played the audio, and the jury watched Eric's expressionless face as his own words buried him. Judge West listened intently, never breaking eye contact with the young man who now sat stripped of all facades. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Witnesses recounted the night of the home invasion, the terror, the injuries, the feeling of helplessness. A retired firefighter testified, trembling. He looked me in the eyes and said, "If you scream, you die." And then he smiled. The courtroom wept as the victim's wife explained how she couldn't walk without assistance due to the injuries Eric inflicted. In his closing statement, the prosecutor turned to the jury and said, "This isn't just a case about a break-in. It's about a man who took pleasure in pain, who manipulated every step of the process, and who, even in jail, treated others like prey. This is not someone who deserves leniency." The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts. Judge West didn't hesitate. "Mr. Dalton," he said, "you showed the world who you are, not in this courtroom, but behind bars, when you thought no one was watching. I assure you, justice was." He sentenced Eric Dalton to 38 years without the possibility of parole. Months later, Judge West gave a rare interview. "The justice system gives people chances," he said. "But when someone spits on that opportunity and proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are a danger to society, we must act. My job isn't just to follow the law. It's to protect the innocent." Eric's story became a cautionary tale. Law schools used the case in lectures about the limits of plea bargains. News outlets dubbed it the plea that died in the dark. Victims' rights advocates praised Judge West for his courage to say no when everything screamed yes. But what truly haunted Judge West wasn't the case or the footage. It was something Eric whispered as he was led away in cuffs. He leaned in close and said, "You think this ends with me? There are others. I'm just the one who got caught." Those words echoed in the judge's mind for weeks. He had nightmares about courtrooms burning and shadows lurking in jail cells. He began reviewing other cases, other plea deals. Had he missed something before? Had others like Eric slipped through the cracks? One day, Judge West received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a flash drive. No return address. No note. Just a single word etched on the label, "Watch." Against better judgment, he inserted it into a secure laptop. The footage showed another inmate, a young woman, terrorizing cellmates in much the same way Eric had. But this wasn't the same jail. This was across the state. A different case. A different face. But the same darkness. And just like that, the case of Eric Dalton became the start of something bigger. Something hidden beneath the surface of the justice system. Judge West didn't sleep that night. Because now, he wasn't just a judge. He was a man staring into the abyss, realizing it was staring back.